Hello, my name is Tori Smith, and this is the evening of the 29th of February. And I do daily reports on this child trafficking operation that's being run. It has been run for probably 30 years or more in the United States, which the locations are called MILABs, or Military Intelligence Laboratories, or but also sometimes therapists and doctors call people MILABs. And they write it in small letters, and to them it means militarily abducted people. You know, and because most of the times I was abducted, it wasn't by the military. It was by other species. But today, and all the information that I present can be verified. Today I would like to talk about there's 76 FBI agents that have raped and murdered children in this child trafficking operation. And 13 of them I know, unfortunately for me. But those 13 agents, you know, they've been involved in this child trafficking for years, and they've killed over 50 children each. And I got a statement from the Hall of Justice. The Hall of Justice reports that these men have killed a total of 707 children. They have killed in what is considered an act of negative behavior resulting in negative karma. To serve negative karma, in the quickest way, one must help others with a pure heart. And, of course, you know, I knew that's true, but I don't really think there's any chance that these 13 FBI agents will ever do anything to benefit anyone, because they all have 0% sacred life. Because when you make an oath to Satan and Lucifer, or the dark side in general, that's the way I see people, light and dark. If you have 51% or more, you're light. That's what heaven says, and then 50% or less, you're dark. But, all these men, when you pledge an oath to Satan and Lucifer, it falls to 37%, which makes you a dark entity. But then when you rape and or murder someone or commit another horrible crime, that brings you down to 0. Or if you denounce anything to do with sacred, because there's a lot of religious people that go crazy, and they renounce, a lot of it's, you know, mind, chemical poisoning and mind control or whatever. But you can recover from that. But I know them because I was at the Arlington, Virginia MILAB. I was raped by all 13 of them. A lot of these men who are or bi-species, like reptilian human or reptilian amphibian human, like most of the all the high-ranking military and government are not just human. And but 3 times, you know, because every once in a while they like to all have sex with the same person. Whether it be a child, a woman, or a man, these people will have sex. I swear to God, if there's no people around, they'd probably have sex with a dog. But that's just the way they are. And, I'm sorry, the FBI agents, because there was another thing, because the temporals, usually they come and rape us in the temporal bodies, which, you know, I've talked a lot about before. It's an artificial intelligence unit. I call it a unit. Other people might call it a drone. But they can either send the temporal out with a mission, with like a weapon or whatever, or they can move their consciousness. They can basically move their soul into the temporal and then take off, and they can fly, and they come into our homes. And, you know, I know a lot of people are worried about overhearing a telephone call or reported text message. Well, 90% of homes in this country, a CIA agent will come in with his temporal body and sit down with you at the dinner table, and you don't know he's there, and they're just taking it all in, and they have little recording devices, so they just come and sit right next to you and record everything you say. What a trip. And let's go on with the FBI. 1,326 FBI agents have had a sexual act with a minor less than 18 years old. And 896 FBI agents have had sexual intercourse with a child 16 or less, which that's very typical behavior. But they just love to destroy anything of the divine or anything sacred, and children are the prime target for them. And, you know, I think that's one of the biggest reasons they do it. But those 13 FBI agents, you know, because I had written, you know, I try to put out, my whole life is a public book, and I try to put out everything, but I realize now not everybody sees everything in its totality. But in the beginning of when I was exposed to child trafficking, they raped me repeatedly over and over again. They love to do that with certain gay men. and I mean anal sodomy. But one of the first events where I was introduced to this child trafficking system is while I was being raped, they murdered 54 children in the room. And those 13 FBI agents were there. But there were a lot of who are considered celebrities now, Barack Obama, you know, Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan and Bill Gates, and John Brennan was there, and Keith Alexander, who was arrested, by the way, but his trial has not occurred yet. And you know, it's funny because when the Army came in a little while ago, they had come in their temporals, and they didn't even know that Bush and Cheney had been arrested, or that Barbara Bush's trial was over. And I would just laugh at these military dudes. I mean, they believe what they're told to believe, and they never verify the truth. And which I tell people all the time. You know, and you can say, well, I heard this guy Tory, and he said this something. Instead of saying, oh, Tory told me what happened to him. Tory shared his experiences, and he's, you know, sharing what he's witnessed. You know, say, if that's true, I want to see the evidence. Connect to the truth yourself, because the truth isn't going to change, ever. But the way we see the truth is what changes. So when somebody says this happened, you say, okay, that's great. Well, not great, but you know what I mean? You can go verify that information for yourself. But we have a huge problem in this country. And then, you know, not all FBI agents, so I was really surprised because I think it was last year. Yeah, it was definitely last year. 3 FBI agents got murdered. And, you know, I did a report on them, but they just found out about the child trafficking operation, and they went to their superiors, and they were murdered. And if I remember right, it was named the deputy director or the assistant deputy director. I forget. I'd have to look up his name because I don't keep all this stuff in my head because I'll go crazy. You know, so I kind of just let it flow through me rather than bottle up all these. Because you imagine 50 children were murdered today, 127 were murdered today, 797 were murdered over the weekend. Now we're going to look at 287 getting murdered. You know what I mean? You just go crazy when you deal with this stuff on a daily basis. But I'm doing this because I hope that someone, and I know a lot of people do care, because a lot of people are praying. Oh, and by the way, those who have been praying now have between 35 and 50 angels around them. So the more you pray, it seems, the more angelic protection you have, the more angel friends that you have, which is really nice. And God bless your hearts. My name is Tory Smith. And let's shut down child trafficking real soon. Thank you. God bless your hearts.